This conference will now be recorded.
So if you don't have an AWS account, so what you can do is you can log into portal.aws.amazon.com. Okay, this will take you to the console, the management console, console.aws.amazon.com. And here you can see the list of product services. Okay, so today now in this session we'll discuss about the EC2 and the light sail. So if you don't have an AWS account, I'll walk you through how to create the AWS account. Okay, let me open up an incognito window. Here I'll go to console.aws.amazon.com. So how many of you have got AWS account and how many of you don't have it? Don't have it, right? Okay, in order to create an AWS account, you need to have an email address. Preferably, it can be a Gmail ID. You need to have a phone number, and you can fill in the display name, both first name, last name. Okay, and you need to have a credit card for credibility. Okay, this is just for verification. Okay, they will debit 2 Indian rupees and they will return it back after 3 to 5 business days. Okay, PAN card is optional. Okay, log into aws.amazon.com. So here you get 2 options, my account and sign into console. If I click on sign into console, it will take me to console.aws.com. So this is the portal. You have to log in once after you have a valid login credential. Okay, if you don't have a existing account, you can just say sign into a different account. It will take you to signin.aws.com. So this is where you go and create a new account. So at the very bottom, you can see create a new AWS account. Okay, you can just give the root user email ID. You can give it a name. Okay, you can click on verify email address, and you will receive a verification code on your email ID. Okay, you can copy the verification code and sign up. So this code is valid only for 10 minutes. You can also regenerate if the code has expired by sending the resend code. Okay, you can set up a new password for your root user. Okay, it need to be at least 8 characters with at least 3 of the following combination: uppercase, 1 lowercase, and numbers all on alphabet. I'm continuing to the next step. So here is where it will ask you whether you are creating the account for personal use or business use. So personal use is mainly for the project POC, learning and development and so on. But the business account is mainly for running an organization, or you are starting a new startup company. So you have to select the business option. So here for practice, you can just go and choose personal option. Okay, and you can give it a display name. You can give your phone number. Okay, you can select which country you're from. You can fill in your address. Okay, you can accept the license agreement and you can continue. Okay, this is where you will enter the credit card information, and you can see they will temporarily hold $1 or 2 Indian rupees. Okay, I'll enter the credit card information and reshare the screen. So you can enter both credit card and debit card. Okay, you also have to enter the PAN card, but it is optional. So you will receive a one-time password to confirm your okay, once after you enter the OTP, you will have a new account created. Personal. Official is for startup or new organization. If you want to start a new company. No, no, even that you have to select personal. Okay, now you are going to receive some identity confirmation. You have to enter your mobile number. So you will receive an SMS on your mobile. Okay, now your identity is confirmed. So here is where you go and choose a support plan. Okay, the basic support plan is free of cost. So you will get access to the basic services, and you will have access to the free tier services. And this is valid for 1 year. And if you are already in development stage, creating a development application, or you are already started to create new application for your business, then you'll have to choose the developer support plan, which starts with minimum of 29 rupees. This is like your pre-paid mobile support plan. So based on the plan, you will get access to little services like email access or support access or chat support, and some specific range of services. Okay, if you want to run production support services, you can choose the business support. Yeah, you can choose the basic free share support plan and complete the sign up. Okay, based on your business requirement, you can choose any of this. There are 4 different options. Basic support option, which is free of cost. Developer support is for developer plan. Business is for production support. And if you're already running mission critical application, you can go for enterprise level support. So I'll complete the sign up now. Okay, once after you sign up, so they will be activating our account, and it will take a few minutes to activate. You can directly go to AWS management console. Okay, in this console, you will be asked for selecting your role. You can say IT administrator or IT manager based on your role. And you can select which area you are interested. You can select learning and certification or DevOps or whichever area you want, and you can submit. Okay, this is the entire step on how to create a new AWS account for learning and development. So once after you're done, you can sign into the console. So you can enter your email address and password. No, root user. Okay, once after you enter the credentials, you will be able to sign into the console. And if you look at here, once after you log in, you will see your login ID and the region that is selected by default. So the region in US are most commonly used because of their pricing. So either you will see US East Ohio or US West regions being selected as the default option, just because they have enormous capacity as well as the pricing is very less. Okay, now we are going to learn EC2 to start with. This is the primary computing capacity that we use, and that this is the mostly used service as well when you want to have virtual servers created in cloud. Okay, so sometimes it might take up to 24 hours to fully activate your registration. Let me try to complete my AWS registration now. Okay, it says it is completing my registration and subscription is active. Okay, so you will be able to go and start creating the resources. So let me go on to my other account. So, and let me open up the EC2. Okay, the name EC2 stands for Elastic Compute Cloud. So there are two C in the Elastic Compute Cloud. So that's why it is called EC2. Okay, so EC2 is virtual compute providing service. So all the services that we get from Amazon is provided using their Amazon Web Services platform. They call it as AWS in short. Okay, this is their cloud hosting platform through which they are offering all their servers, databases, storage, and so on. Okay, let's start creating an EC2 instance. So here on this particular screen, you can see that there is a dashboard view. This dashboard view is only for seeing the number of instances, number of placement groups, security groups that is there in this specific North Virginia location, the location that is selected by default. But if you want to understand the list of resources in the global regions in all the data center, you have to select the EC2 global view. This will take you to the global view and it will list down the different instances, VPC subnets in all the different regions in Amazon Web Services. Okay, so this way it is very easy to identify if you have any instances created in any of the region, and you can actually stop them to reduce the cost if in case you want to do that. You also have an option called global search. You can also use this to go and search for any resources across all the region. Okay, you can also get a report by selecting this, and you can download it into a Excel format, CSV format. Okay, let's go back to the EC2 console. And whichever services you are using most frequently, you can also go and add them to the favorites. See, I have added 5 favorites here. So how you can do it, you can click on the services menu here and you can just go and add the favorite by selecting the star. Automatically, once after you close this, you can start seeing that it has added the console home. You can rearrange it as you want. Okay, like that way you can just go to the services and you can add favorites. So the services which you are frequently dealing with, you can add them to the top bar so that you can access those resources quickly. Or else you can just click on this and then you can go and select the compute and then go to EC2 and access it. So EC2 is virtual machines or virtual servers in the cloud. So some people call it as virtual machine or some people call it as virtual server. Both are the same. Okay, if you want to create an instance, you can just go to EC2 instance console and launch a new instance. Okay, it will ask you a few details. It asks me like how many number of instances I want to create, how many number of servers I want to create. That is the first option you will get. Okay, you can select as many number of servers that you want. And you can also give the server a particular name. Okay, I can just say web server 1. Okay, we'll try creating different operating systems. So first I'll create a Amazon Linux 1. Okay, I'll call it as Linux web server 1. Okay, I can select the free tier eligible image. So whichever images that are tagged as free tier eligible, if you are using these images, there won't be any additional cost. But if you are choosing the ones which are not free tier eligible, then those will generate a bill. Okay, so you always have to choose the latest kernel as much as possible, unless there is an application dependency, or if there is an application that needs the specific kernel version, you can go and select the older one. Always go for the latest kernel version. Okay, and based on your application architecture, you can go and choose the 64-bit or the actual architecture. Okay, even in the instance type, I'll explain what are the different instance type that are available. See, in EC2, there are many different instance sizes or instance types that are available. Each of them have their own use cases. So we'll see each of them in details. Okay, the very first one is the general purpose one. Okay, so general purpose, it is not specifically tagged to any specific use case. So you can use it for any basic requirement like learning, development, POC. Okay, POC stands for proof of concept. If you want to do some testing, or if you want to do some proof of concept, you can create the server in general purpose. So general purpose, by the name, you can use it for any purpose. It is not specifically intended for web server or database server or application server. You can use it for any specific use cases. So it will have all the resources in a balanced way. It will have balanced amount of CPU, memory, and storage, and so on. Okay, if you ask me what might be the specific load, for example, if you talk to the business or the application owner, they will say they need a server for running application server or small terminal server or like web server and so on. So if the load is very small, or if the capacity is medium, then you can definitely go and choose the general purpose for such requirement. So any small to medium web servers, or any small app servers, you can use the general purpose. Okay, so any less critical workload, you can start with the general purpose. Okay, and the next one is the compute optimized. So the compute optimized category is generally used for any application that need more compute power. From the name itself, you can see that it has got compute. Okay, so it is mainly for the CPU ratio will be higher. Okay, so any gaming server or any specific application servers, they will need a lot of compute capacity. Okay, so any medium size web servers, medium to large web servers, so these category will need a lot of compute power. So generally we go and choose the compute optimized when there is an application that needs these category, including some terminal servers and so on. Okay, any application or any network appliances. So these are all systems that need a lot of compute capacity. So you need to choose the compute optimized for that. So all the compute optimized instances will start with capital C character, which refers to the CPU. Okay, similarly, we have got memory optimized. So memory optimized, by the name, you can relate it that any application or any software that needs more memory capacity, like for example database servers or any data warehousing servers, SAP HANA servers. So these batch processing servers, these are all systems that need a lot of memory capacity. So whenever there is a requirement for relational database systems, or the systems that need data warehousing, or any SAP HANA or SAP application servers, so it needs a lot of memory. So in this case, the memory ratio will be very higher compared to the CPU. Okay, let me explain that in the graphical console here. See, if I go to the instance type, I'm getting all the different instances listed here. So here, I can just go and filter down whatever I need. Okay, if I scroll to the right, okay, currently it is not displaying the instance family. I can just enable that, and the instance size also, and also I can enable which ones are the free tier eligible one. Okay, I'll confirm it. Now you can start seeing the additional field. Okay, so now if you look at the things that are starting with T, they are all general purpose one. If I scroll down, you are seeing something which starts with C, right? These are all compute optimized category. And you can see that for compute optimized, for 30 GB of memory, you are getting 16 CPUs. For example, if I scroll down, if I go to the memory optimized one, like which starts with R and others, okay, R stands for RAM, memory. Okay, any instance type that starts with R, that means it is memory optimized. It stands for random access memory. So let me scroll to the right. So even there are instances that starts with M, even those are all memory optimized category. Okay, anything that starts with M and R, they are all memory optimized. See, if you look at here, for just 16 CPU, you are getting 128 memory. So that's the reason I told you memory ratio will be very high in memory optimized. Whereas in CPU optimized, you will have a good amount of CPU for every single GB of memory. So if I just go back to the earlier screen, so you can see here for 16 CPU, you are getting only 32 GB of RAM. Whereas in memory optimized, you will get 128 GB of RAM for even 16 virtual CPU. So that is the higher ratio that I was talking about. Okay, memory ratio will be very high in memory optimized, and CPU ratio will be very high in compute optimized. So these are the application which will be demanding more memory, and you have to use this. Okay, any application that is demanding in memory analytics, or any application that is demanding more caching. So all these are good use cases for memory optimized category. So the next type is accelerated computing. So in your organization or in customer organization, if there are any systems that need a lot of graphics acceleration or application streaming or video rendering or any kind of video pattern, for example, if you're using it for chemical labs or if you're using it for weather pattern analysis, you can go and choose the accelerated computing. So accelerated computing will have by default turbo boosting and these kind of options enabled in your BIOS. Okay, this will boost your CPU capacity and it will give you more compute power. That's the reason it is called accelerated computing. Okay, so accelerated computing, this is used for a lot of application that needs a lot of graphics acceleration. If it needs a lot of gaming, it is used for video rendering. So all these categories, it needs a lot of processing power because it needs to stream the video real time and it needs to render the video. So for anything that needs application streaming or video streaming, you can go and choose the accelerated computing. Even if your application is used for weather pattern analysis or anywhere you need a lot of compute capacity or a lot of computing power, you can just go and choose the accelerated computing. So next option is storage optimized. Okay, in general, storage optimized are chosen for the application that needs a lot of storage capacity, like the big data systems, the not only SQL, NoSQL systems, okay, and any caching system. So these are all systems which need a lot of storage capacity to deal with a lot of data and so on. So here you will have the backend system with a lot of IOPS capacity. So IOPS stands for input output per second. So on the backend, whatever disk that we are using, it will give you a lot of input output power. So you get a lot of capacity there. Okay, so if your customer is looking for a system which needs a lot of read write capacity or read write speed, okay, you can go and choose storage optimized. Okay, next category is graphics optimized. So from the name itself, you can understand this might be used for any application that needs high graphics, like mechanical application or automobile or civil application that needs a lot of graphics power. You can go and choose the graphic optimize. So here we use a graphics card in your server hardware. It will have NVIDIA card or similar cards that will provide you the required graphics processing. Okay, so these are used for application that needs a lot of graphics capacity. Even for sometimes like if you want to do some video rendering or video streaming, that time also you might need to have some graphics, so you can go and choose the graphics optimized. Okay, so these are the different types of instances available. So based on your application need or application demand, you can go and choose the instance type here. Okay, so I'll just go with the free tier now, because like we are just going to deal with the free tier option. Okay, let me go to the basic screen and select the free tier eligible one. So T2 micro is free tier eligible. Okay, you can just see it, check whether it is free tier eligible. So you can see these two options like T1 micro and T2 micro, they are enabled as two. So these two options are free, always free options. You can choose one of them. So I'm choosing the second one because it has got more memory here compared to the T1 micro. Okay, I'll select this and I'll create the instance. So before creating, you also have to understand that you need to have credentials in order to safeguard your authentication or login. So in AWS, you use something called key pair. The reason they call it as key pair, it has two different keys, private key as in public key. So there will be two keys created. Okay, this is to secure your login activity. Okay, both the login activity will be encrypted and decrypted as you do the login. So the reason it is called key pair, because it has got two pair of keys. Okay, so one private key and one public key. Okay, so Amazon will store the public key. So the private key will be down. You can download the private key and you have to keep it safe. Safe, secure. Okay. So that's the reason it is called key pair. Since there are two keys involved, it is called as key pair. I can just go and create a new key. Okay, I'll just call it as September 2022. So whatever key you are creating, this key is valid only for that specific region. So if I want to create one more instance in another region, you have to create a separate key. So key pairs are useful for connecting to your instances securely. And what happens on the back end, whenever you do a login, all your credential that you are entering, it will be encrypted and decrypted when you use this key pair to log in. Okay, so key pair is mandatory for logging into Linux systems and even for the Windows system. So I'll just go and create it. Okay, there are two type of private key format that are available. So the default format is PEM, okay, which is the native AWS key format. Okay, PEM format is the private exchange mail format, which is the native key format for Amazon. But if you're going to use tools like PuTTY or any SSH client, you can download the PuTTY private key format. Okay, PuTTY is a very popular tool that we use for logging into any of the Linux system. So in that case, you download the PPK key. Okay, so I'll download the PEM and I can convert it to PPK later. Or if I want to use it for PPK, I can just select the PPK and download it. Okay, so you don't have to convert it. So previously, a few years back, if you want to log into my PuTTY private key, if I download PEM key, I have to use something called PuTTYgen tool to convert the key from PEM format to PPK format. Okay, nowadays that is not needed. Okay, so earlier, a few years back, Amazon used to provide the download only in PEM format, and to convert to PPK, we have to use a tool called PuttyGen tool. So this tool is used for converting the key format. Okay, nowadays you don't need that. See, if I go and search for PuttyGen, you'll start seeing it. And if I don't have it in my machine, you can just go to the putty.org and you can download the putty tool for using in your local machine. Okay, you can download the putty tool and then it will give you the tool to log in. So you can see that there is putty as well as the PuttyGen. So this tool is what will be used for converting from one key format to another key format. But nowadays you don't have to use it because you are getting option to directly download the PPK from Amazon. Okay, now I have created and downloaded it, and if I want to have more storage capacity, I can go and change it. Currently I'm just giving the default 8 GB, but if you are creating Windows system, Windows will need a minimum of 30 GB. Okay, since I'm creating Linux, so 8 GB should be okay. And also I'm creating the free tier instance. Okay, so let me launch the instance now. So these are the options that are mandatory when you're going and creating a Linux instance in AWS. I'll also show you how to create a Windows instance quickly, but let's launch the Linux instance now. Okay, it is getting launched. Okay, you will get a unique instance ID here like this. Okay, so there will be a GUID that is created. So for each of your instance, there will be a unique instance ID that will get created. Okay, you can log into the console. You can just go to the console by selecting this. It will take you to the instance directly. So here you will start seeing all the list of instances. Since I selected that option, it has filtered that instance alone. So now it is currently in initializing status. Okay, let it initialize. So meanwhile, I'll just go and create one more Windows instance. Okay, Windows Web Server 1. So here in this time, I'll have to select the Windows image. Okay, I can go and choose whether 2022 or 2019 or whatever free tier eligible. So these are the ones which are free tier eligible. I can choose the 2019 base. Okay, and here you can choose the T2 micro or the free tier one. Okay, I'll just choose the T2 micro, and I can use the same key pair for both Windows and Linux. Okay, so September 2022. So only if you are creating a Linux instance in another region other than North Virginia, you have to go and create a separate key for other region because the keys are unique to that particular region. So the keys will be stored in the region only. Okay, if you want to create a separate key pair, you can also do that. But I'm using the same key pair to log into both Linux and Windows. That is possible. And for now, I'm just skipping the network related settings because I have a separate class on networking and security group. Okay, and here by default for all the Windows instances, minimum size that they recommend is 30 GB. You can go and provide 100 GB or 120 GB based on your organization um, best practices. If you want to add additional volume for your data drive or your log files, you can also add additional volumes. But here I'll skip that. Okay, you can also go and choose the additional advanced settings, but we'll discuss about the advanced settings shortly. But now I'll just go with the default option. If I want to increase the number of instances, I can change it. If I want to create 2 servers or 10 servers, you can create it at the same time. I'll go and launch the instance now. Okay, so basically you can go and create a Windows instance or Linux instance, just like how I did. So if I go now to the instance listing, I think the Amazon Linux instance should be ready for access now. See, currently there are 2 instances, out of which one is already running and initializing. So we'll have to wait for the status check to complete. So when I say status check, there are 2 levels of status check. One is for your physical system and one is for your virtual machine instance. Okay, so these two checks has to get passed before the EC2 instance will be marked as 2 by 2 passed. Okay, it will take maybe 2 to 5 minutes to verify that. So if there is any problem with your hardware or if there is any problem with your OS, so it will automatically show that it is currently impaired. Okay, it's getting created, it's getting refreshed, initializing. So currently the first check is passed. So now it is checking the second level. So there are two levels of check as I told. First level check is system level, which is hardware level checks. Okay, and then the instance level, which is the virtual machine level checks. Okay, if both the checks are passed, it will show us 2 by 2 checks passed here. Okay, now the instance is already in running state. We have to check the instance state. So it will be in initializing state. It has to change to running state. So once after you see the running state, you can just go and check the status checks also. Okay, now you can see that both the checks are now passed. Okay, if there is any issue, you can also go and report it and check it. Okay, but now both the instances are showing, both the status checks are showing passed. Okay, once after it is done, you can see that it has got a public IP as well as a private IP. So it has got a private IP as well as it has got a public IP. So public IP is used for connecting from the internet. Private IP is got connecting from within Amazon platform or from your on-premises through the VPN. Okay, I'm just going to connect through the public IP. So I can just copy the address. And here I can just open the tool, putty tool. And I can enter the IP address here. And I have to select the key that I have created and downloaded. So go to authentication under the SSH. So here I have to select the downloaded private key. Okay, so I'll just go to downloads and I can select the September 2022 PPK file. So this is the file that I got created and downloaded it. So I'll select it and I'll say open. Okay, it is checking for the key print and it is checking whether it is encrypted and proper. So now I am able to get the login prompt here. So for all the EC2 instances by default, especially Amazon, the default user is EC2-user. So okay, so EC2-user is the default user for all the Amazon Linux systems. Okay, you can log in to Amazon Linux using EC2. Okay, now I'm able to log in and I can do whatever activity and so on. So I can just go and check the system. Okay, and the machine IP address is there. Okay, so now I'll go and check the Windows instance. So in less than 5 minutes, we were able to create a Linux instance and we were able to log in. Similarly, I'll check the Windows system now. So Windows system is also showing running as well as it is saying it is 2 by 2 check passed. Okay, unlike Linux, Windows, it needs a couple of additional steps. Okay, so for logging into Windows system, you cannot just directly use the key. Instead, you need to use the username and password. In order to do that, click on the connect option and go to RDP client. Here, the RDP client tab, it will request for the specific key. Okay, I can just go and say get password. It will ask me to browse and show the particular key pair associated to the system. I can just go to the downloads and I can select the September 2022 PPK file. So that is needed to decrypt the password. Okay, so we have got only the PPK file. So let me do one thing. Okay, so it is asking for the key alone. Let me do one thing. I'll open this code with Notepad. Okay, let me do one thing. I'll generate a new key here for Windows because I downloaded the PPK file. Okay, let me quickly show you that. Okay, I'll use the PEM file this time. Okay, I'll go and launch it. So once after I complete the demo, you all have to go and practice creating a new AWS account and create a Linux server, Windows server, and you have to practice it on your own. Okay, you can also check the launch log here. It will check whether the request was successful, whether the security groups are created properly, and all those logs can be checked here. So all the key pairs that are getting created, you can come and check it here. Okay, so you can just get all the key pair details in the key pair console. You can also import your own key pair. Okay, if you want to do it, you can have the option to do that. If you want to clean up the old key pair that you don't want, you can also go and clean up the old key pair that you want. Okay, so I can just go and delete the old key pair. So you'll have to confirm by saying delete, and you can delete it. So whatever key pair that you don't need, so clean up all those things. Don't have any unwanted resources or unnecessary resources in your console. Okay, now the third instance is getting initialized. Okay, let's give it a minute to start initializing it. So while the instance is getting created, so Amazon EC2 is a web service through which you can go and create a virtual server or scalable VM in the cloud. and it's mainly to run all your applications on your demand. Okay, and the Amazon EC2 has got a monthly uptime of 99.99 availability percentage. Okay, and if you scroll down and see, you can see that EC2 has got a lot of other options also, like auto scaling, load balancing. It has also option to add a public IP, permanent public IP. Okay, you can also have the option to take snapshots and so on. So we'll discuss this little later today. Okay, but now the idea is to go and create the servers and practice it. Okay, once after the 2x2 checks are passed, you can go and connect to the system and generate the password. This is needed only for the Windows server. Okay, you can just go and get the password. You can go and select the September 2022 Windows PEM, and it will generate the password here. So you can copy the password and keep it safely. So this is the password for the Windows system. For Linux system, the default username is EC2. For Windows, the default username is administrator. For Amazon Linux, okay, now let us go and log into the system. So in order to log into the Linux system or Windows system, you can use a tool called RDP, Remote Desktop Protocol. And for connecting to Linux system, you use any SSH client tool. Use Remote Desktop Protocol, RDP. Okay, so in order to access the RDP, you can go to your run prompt in Windows and type msdsc, and you can enter the IP address here. Okay, I just copied the IP address and entered it here. So now it will ask for the credentials to log in, and here I can just go and change the username and password. So I can just say administrator, and I can just say password and login. Okay, now I am able to log into the EC2 Amazon Windows system successfully. Okay, if you ask me whether this is the only option or whether we always need to have any tools installed to log into the system, no, actually, you can actually log into the system from the browser itself. I'll show you how to do that. Okay, if I want to log into the Linux system or the systems here, so I can copy the Linux IP address, and in your Chrome browser, you can just go and say extensions. Okay, and here you can see that it has got a Chrome web store. Here you can go and search for SSH client. Okay, so you will see, you can just go and type SSH, and here you can see secure shell. Okay, you can select the secure shell and you can also add it. So now once after you add it, you can just go and open that. See, if you click on this icon, you can see that secure shell is opening up. So here you can click on this connection dialog and you can enter the proper IP address here. So it will ask for the IP address. So here I can just say ec2-user at the password, sorry, at the public IP address. So ec2 user is the username and this is the public IP address which I want to connect. So you don't have to install any tools on your machine. You can directly connect to any Linux systems directly from your browser itself. Okay, so it is asking for whether it is the confirm fingerprint. Yes, I'm saying yes, it is. And it is trying to log in here. Okay, so this is another way that you can directly log into any Linux systems on the browser itself. Okay, any doubts from anyone so far? You can unmute yourself and ask any questions on how to create the AWS account and how to create a Linux and Windows server in AWS platform. Okay, if you don't have any other question, okay, I'll show you one more thing. If you go to services and compute, you will also see something called Lightsail. Okay, Lightsail is another service from AWS through which you can create a web server. Okay, maybe you can practice the EC2 instance creation. I'll explain the Lightsail after you complete the lab. Okay, so I'll stop presenting. I'll stop the recording.